Namaskar. Just imagine for a moment what will happen to Indian democracy if Ambani and Adani they started deciding the Prime Minister of India. Will there remain any significance of the term called democracy? I think you very well know the answer. But what was happening when the British East India Company came? As it was the company, the way Reliance is. But what happened that the company started deciding who will be the next Nawab, who will be, hold this position. So basically, they started writing the future of the political system which was existing at that time. We always believe that any company, as it is a company, its main work is to limit itself in the commercial affairs. What is the need to jump into the pond of political affairs? But this was being done by the East India Company. So there are two terms which I want to make you understand. The one is Court of Directors and the second is Board of Control. The Court of Directors, when you go through with the act called 1773, you will experience it, and the Pitt's India Act, the youngest Prime Minister of Britain, with his name the 1784 Act is associated. So in this act the term Board of Control is given. I want to clear the differentiation, how they are distinguished from each other. So as I have given the example that the company must limit itself in the commercial affairs. So what was happening that the Court of Directors basically they you can means in any company there are the shareholders, and there are so many shareholders if the company is big. But my friends, is it really possible to take the decision on behalf of the company if you are making all the shareholders as the part of decision making process? I don't think it is practically possible. Nowadays, if Reliance wants to take any decision, I don't think it will, means dispatch the papers to every shareholders and try to know what actually they want to, they want if this decision is being taken. It is not practically possible. That's why what we do, that we shareholders, we elect some of the people, and those people, they work on behalf of the company or on behalf of all the shareholders to make it practically possible. Court of Directors, as this term was related with the 1773 Act, what was happening that this Court of Director was a collection of the 24 people, and these 24 people were being elected by the shareholders of the East India Company which was existing that time. So East India Company, it was a commercial institution. Its main work was to perform the commercial activities. That's why they needed the Court of Directors, and these Court of Directors were being elected by the shareholders of the East India Company. These Court of Directors were 24 in numbers, and they were taking all the decisions on behalf of the company. But what was the problem here, that as they were supposed to take the commercial decisions, but they started indulging, they started interfering in the political atmosphere which was prevailing at that time. Who will be the next Nawab? Who will hold this designation so that we could get a certain amount of financial benefit? So they started interfering in the political pond which existed at that time. As a result, what happened, that the British government, which was sitting in Britain, they realized that the company was supposed to perform the commercial activities, why it is interfering in the political matters. So in order to control, or you can also say that in order to differentiate the commercial affairs and the political affairs, they brought the next act that was known as 1784 Pitt's India Act, and through this act they coined a term that was known as Board of Control. And this Board of Control was the collection of the 6 people. It was headed by the Secretary of State, and this Secretary of State and rest of his 5 associates who were helping to the Secretary of State to take the decision, these all people were being elected by the King of Britain or Queen of Britain, whosoever existed at that time. So you need to understand that in the Court of Directors, these 24 people were being elected by the shareholders of the East India Company, but when they started interfering in the political ecosystem, the British government realized that this is not the right thing. They are supposed to limit themselves in the commercial affairs, but they started entering into the political ecosystem. That's why this Board of Control, this collection of 6 people, all were elected or nominated by the King or Queen, whosoever existed, and this Board of Control was solely meant to manage the political affairs. So just think, through this Act 1784, they separated the political affairs and the commercial affairs. The responsibility of commercial affairs was given to the Court of Directors, and to manage the political affairs, this responsibility was given to the Board of Control, which was being headed by the Secretary of State, and he was being assisted by the 5 members, and all these 6 members, including Secretary of State, they were nominated by the King or Queen. So you can understand here that this Board of Control, how it is different. This Board of Control is taking care of the political activities. He is managing the political, he is taking the political decisions. And this Court of Directors, they were made responsible only to take care the commercial affairs, as they were the part of the company. So through this 1784 Pitt's India Act, the British government, they tried to they tried to bring a sort of demarcation line, so that some sort of transparency could be brought at that time, and we could reduce the grievances of the people up to a certain extent. But I would say that they wanted to control the company, as the power of company was increasing day by day. So the another angle, when you use a different lens to understand it, the British government wanted to control the rising power of the East India Company. That's why they brought the 1784 Act, and they introduced the term Board of Control. This Board of Control was comparatively more powerful than the Court of Directors, because this Board of Control was given the power to access the accounts of the company. What kind of decisions are being taken, what kind of commercials, you can say, means the Board of Control, it was provided the authority to go through or to access the account or the balance sheet of the Reliance Communication. At that time, East India Company. So the Board of Control, it was comparatively more powerful than the Court of Directors, and the whole objective of the British government through this 1784 somehow to control this rising power of court of directors or the East India Company, and they thought this board of control will definitely help us to manage or to overall give a shape which is helpful ultimately for the British government. Thank you.